on, everybody? Welcome to the Wednesday edition of the NBA Slate Starter Podcast. I'm Eric, joined with my buddy Ryan as we break down the 11-game NBA DFS slate. Oh my goodness, we've got a big one. We're going to try to fly through it as much as we possibly can for you. We're here on Tuesday night. Caleb Martin is the GOAT. Brian Goodwin, what an easy play. Is it Brian or Brandon? I can't even remember. Doesn't matter. Brandon. He was fantastic. It's Brandon. Of course it's Brandon. Absolutely love that guy. I had 100% of him. I don't really see any way around that on DK. And then Drummond sucked, which was a bummer because he was a lot of my Fanduel and 50% of my DraftKings lineups. But we're going to move on with our lives. Rinpak, how are you doing tonight?
Doing all right. It was a great day for the chalk, as you said on Live Before Lock, with an epic rant. And the chalk today came out and smashed left and right. Martin was great. Goodwin was great. Paul George was phenomenal. And we'll see who else fills it out. There is a sneaky play, Karis LeVert, that's working out for some people today. So we'll see who ends up in this final line. There's a phenomenal late-night hammer in Boston and Portland, and a sneaky late-night hammer in Miami and Phoenix. I expect the Boston and Portland game to have some fireworks, but we'll see. It's going to be tough to overcome the chalk that really, really showed out in the first half of the night.
I feel like the security guard from The Last Dance. Like, that's flat out how I feel about that guy. There were a couple people who said that earlier. All Eric does is recommend the chalk. Yeah, when they're basically guaranteed to 9-10x or whatever. Not that I look at multipliers too much, but just letting it be known. I mean, the chalk was substantially better than normal today, no?
Yeah, it was very solid today. And it was tough to move away from it. And hopefully I didn't move away too much from it. I tend to be a little different at times, but I was pretty heavy on Brandon Goodwin and Paul George, but the Martin brother, one of the Martin brothers, I was not as high as everyone else. So we'll see if I have enough towards the end of the night. All
right. Fingers crossed for you. Fingers crossed. Yeah, you and Greg Ehrenberg, neither one of you liked them today. I get it. I understand it. But I don't know, 31, 3,200. It just seemed like fun. Good times were had by all. I hope you get their impact. You usually do, so I'm not worried about you. Guys, get to that bottom button. Get to that bottom bar. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button big time if you're watching us on YouTube. And hit that notification bell so you know when this and all the other content at Awesemo is going live. We are sponsored today by monkeyknifefight.com. Head over there for all the prop-based games. NBA, PGA, MLB, NHL, UFC. I'm sure I'm missing something in there, but all of the goodies over at monkeyknifefight.com. They have multipliers based on whatever entry fee you want to be playing for. You pick a couple players, you target a bunch of birdies at Hilton Head, which is what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. Excited to be throwing some PGA lineups back in after a fun Masters weekend. Ready to chase a couple losses in those, but such is life. I'm ready to get going. I get back on the horse, as we say. Rinpak, are you ready to get going with this NBA slate?
Let's ride.
Let's ride. Good Lord. Again, we have a lot to get to here. I'm going to try to condense it as much as possible, but I am a long-winded individual, so it is what it is. We have Russell Westbrook at $11,000, coming off of an absolutely awesome performance against Utah. He's been just fantasy goodness of late. 25, 14, and 14. I'm kind of interested. If you look at his rebounds and assists of late, it's kind of stupid how many triple-doubles he's just like flinging up there of late. He's had a triple-double in 9 of his last 10 games that I'm looking at in the box score column. I mean, just an absolute ridiculous torrid rant that he is on. Luka Doncic, 10,900. Absolutely the opposite end of the spectrum, where he hasn't been getting there for us in any way, shape, or form. You look at his rebounding and assist column, and it makes you sad. And he's only $100 less. Very curious to see where ownership is going to go there. Curious to hear what you think about him. And then Steph Curry, 10,500. Another crazy nice pay-up option. We just saw the ceiling there. All three of those dudes have absolute ceilings. I think just recency bias, it'll be Westbrook and Curry, but also it might just be the situations where they don't really have anybody else that's going to take away from a Westbrook and Curry. Westbrook can get there even alongside Beal because of how he gets to triple doubles. But talk to me about the top end of point guard.
Yeah, no, this is a loaded point guard slate, and it's tough to pinpoint just one. Westbrook in a smash Sacramento spot. Curry and essentially Golden State just has to rally off a bunch of wins to avoid the play-in situation, get in the play-in situation. So Curry's going to find a way to just chuck up a ton of threes the rest of the season and really try to carry this Warriors team to the top. Doncic has been disappointing, but in terms of recency bias, I'll be right back at it. He's going to turn things around. He's not this bad. He's just going through a funk. And that's just how things are. De'Aaron Fox and a matchup versus Washington. I will have a ton of interest even at $9,600. Buddy Hield is questionable, so that benefits him even more. Spending down, it's tough to do on a point guard slate as loaded as we just talked about on DraftKings, but I can't really find anyone besides Facundo Campazzo because he's going to be the lead dog now with no Jamal Murray. Him and Monty Morris are going to it's going to be a little Malone's probably going to write the hot hand between one of those two guys, and it's going to be tough. And we should just target these guys when they're cheap because I'll expect from Campazzo to at least find his way up to mid fours, maybe 5K at some point if he's going to get the consistent minutes. So I'll take my chances with Campazzo. And in terms of Fanduel, up top, we talked about guys like Curry and Westy and Luka. And I think all of those guys are strong plays over there as well, as we should be able to take advantage of them. Do you have a preference of what point guard to target over there on FanDuel in terms of their price tag and everything put together?
Kyle Lowry, 7K against San Antonio. He had a rest day today. I think that's going to be a good spot to go to. You could go back to, Ben Simmons is down to 7K up against Brooklyn. If Kyrie's in, I think that helps in terms of his fantasy profile, not having anybody else. Not that Ben Simmons is a mismatch, and one day he'll realize that he's a mismatch and just kind of like do things offensively. But 7K is just a low number to look at. Malcolm Brogdon, 7,300. I've just been playing him just about every single slate here since he got back the last three slates. That got that 59.3 that I had in a DK winning lineup on Sunday. That was awfully nice to see. But otherwise, I think it's pretty straightforward. I mean, if Lowry were to some reason be out, he won't be because of rest, but Malachi Flynn at 5,300 would be where you would go. And as you said, like Facundo Campazzo now, you're going to see a lot of these guys have to play late 20s, early 30s minutes in the absence. It'll be him and Monty Morris in the absence of Jamal Murray with that horrific injury that we saw the other night. So, yeah, just point guard is just completely stacked. I don't really even know kind of like where you would want to punt at down here. I'm looking underneath like 4,500. I would have just like no interest going to anybody, I think, underneath 5K, other than maybe, as you said, Campazzo, if you were to like be starting and maybe take a couple shots for a different roster construction. Anybody that you see out there? I know Elf Payton was in the winning lineup the other night, played 27 minutes, and now gets New Orleans at 4,300. Curious what you think about him.
Yeah, I think if Elf Payton's chalky, that's tough to go there. He shot very efficiently from the field, and Thibodeau just decided to just roll him out for 27 minutes. So it's tough for me to have confidence in Elf Payton just because of the guard rotation minutes that Thibodeau is really running over there. It's just too many mouths to feed at times. And I don't want to get burned that bad by him. And
Elf on the shelf is not a nice thing to have in your life. I know that.
I completely agree with you. But, man, it's trying to spend up makes a ton of sense. But there's some solid mid-tier options in Lowry and Simmons, like you pointed out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like that mid-tier as well. Man, you better get point guard right. And I don't know. It's kind of the exact opposite where today I was punting it everywhere. It was like Wanamaker, Goodwin, and kind of moving on with my life. But anywho, top end of shooting guard, Paul George coming off of just destroying Indiana for the however manyth time in a row. So I was hearing the LA Clippers because obviously that's who we get Clippers and Lakers games on our not on NBA TV. What am I trying to say? Just on cable, like on the cable deal. But they were talking about how it's the highest points per game that Paul George has against any team, period, in the entire league. And obviously it was his former team. Now going to Detroit, a bad defense. Maybe, I don't know. I'd be curious what they're going to do in terms of possibly resting him or not. I doubt it, but just be on the lookout. We got a lot of news there. He played just awesome tonight. Watched almost that whole game. 9,200. Really like him there. Zach Lavine, 9K. Starting to see that price tag come back up to account for his ceiling. Might be a little bit high. I know it's Orlando in a good spot, but very good production of late. Starting to get some assists going here again. 9, 6, 5, 13 his last 4. Like seeing that out of him, but 9K big number. It'll be curious to see where all of the value is on the slate. But Bradley Beal, 8,500. He had a "you forgot about me" game, 36 minutes, 48.1 rate with that low 8K price tag up against Utah. Now he gets Sacramento. That looks tasty. Him and Karis LeVert, also Karis LeVert on a back-to-back up against Houston. Hello. Talk to me about the top end of shooting guard.
Yeah, taking a look at things over there on FanDuel. Paul George. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard tomorrow. It could be a Paul George rest and he doesn't play. But if he were to play, he's still in play. He's been playing excellent basketball, showing signs of this season where he finished third in MVP voting in the 18-19 season. So Paul George is playing really, really good right now. So it's definitely been fun to roster him as that price tag has gone up. Bradley Beal, 8,500 versus Sacramento. Love it. I think we saw that Beal just wants to power through this injury. And I think we should be powering through with him in our lineups. I think he can definitely be a solid option and pay off that price tag really well. And Lavine, 9K seems a tad too expensive now. It's a Vooch versus his former team spot. DeMar DeRozan at Toronto. I always like rostering DeMar DeRozan at 79 whenever he's below 8K, just because he's just so shooting dependent at times, but he just finds a way to give you that floor even when he's playing. And he's played well when he's returned back to Toronto a couple times. He's gone 44 FanDuel points both times he's been there.
Returning to Tampa Bay.
He's returning to Tampa Bay.
It's different. It changes. How many people in Tampa Bay in the crowd are from Canada, though? Probably more than the average person. Like a higher ratio than any other stadium probably in America. Maybe Milwaukee or Minneapolis. I'm not sure. Anyway, continue on. Tampa Bay, land of the Raptors.
But I think that's a great price tag for DeMar is against this Toronto team. I think DeMar has been pretty solid. He had a disappointing game last time, but they blew out the Magic team. Other guys, if you want to spend down, you can still target Wiggins with no Oubre, but other options at their price tag, if you want to spend down over there on FanDuel, I think Halliburton with no Hield potentially, $5,500. He started off hot and then was disappointing. And while I take a look at things over there on DraftKings in the shooting guard spot, there's Paul George and Bradley Beal, 9 and 8.7. Seems like solid options to consider. And I believe no Kyrie Irving. He's still going to be gone with the personal reasons, I believe. So we can't go there. If you want to spend down for some options, it's tough to do that on shooting guard position on DK. The only guy who really stands out to me at his price tag is Facundo Campazzo at $3,700, who has shooting guard eligibility. And Delon Wright, who picked up additional minutes the other night, went up to 23. And maybe he spikes an upside with potentially no Buddy Hield. But that's who stands up if you want to spend down over there on the shooting guard spot on DK.
Yeah, that Washington-Sacramento game, that's going to be an okay one to watch for fantasy purposes. Do not count your winnings before 10 p.m. Eastern time. Let it be known. Actually, till midnight Eastern time. I forget how late you guys have to stay up to watch basketball. Out here, a little bit easier on the West Coast. Not to say it's the best coast, but it is. Anyway, top end, shoots a small forward over on DK. Luka Doncic, 10,900. The guy that I think if you're going to play him at small forward. Just looking at the rest of this position, 9,400 Jimmy Butler up against Denver. Tougher spot on a back-to-back. Doesn't really break any 50-plus game. Not that I know how he's doing right now, but Brandon Ingram, 8,600. This is just kind of a brutal spot, I think, to be targeting Pelicans. Slow, trudgy New York Knicks team. Curious what you're going to think about him and our cover boy, Zion Williamson, who we love very, very much, obviously, our firstborn child between you and I. But Brandon Ingram, 8,600, might be tough to get to. And then DeMar DeRozan there at small forward, 7,900, definitely still like that spot, regardless of it being Tampa Bay. Is Kyle Lowry going to be on the other side? Yes, he will. So he's going to show out for his buddy. Talk to me about the top of the small forward.
Yeah, taking a look over there on the DraftKings small forward side of things, Luke is there. Jimmy Buckets is there. Kawhi, if he's going to go, there's a chance no Paul George on a back-to-back. I'll have a lot of interest in Kawhi at $9,700. Tobias Harris versus Brooklyn. Anyone versus Brooklyn can just show out. And why not Tobias Harris, who could get hot from the field and get going? The Philly team outside Embiid last time was disappointing. So I think we try to get them back on track against Brooklyn. And why? And Brooklyn's such a good get right spot if you're a good team. Brandon Ingram seems too expensive at $8,600. It's a great tournament option against the Knicks, but a little too expensive for my liking. I think Porter Jr., $7,200 versus Miami. I know it's going to be a tough matchup, but Yo, this is going to be the Jokic and Porter Jr. show, and this is
Yo.
and Porter Jr. This is where he's going to he has to show the league that he is one of the best young talents in the game. I've been saying this for a long, long time, and I think hopefully he finds a way to stay on the court and to make that happen. If you want to spend down on DraftKings, I think with no Oubre tomorrow, I think you can still go to Basemore over there. And Will Barton, I expect to get some extra ball handling duty and some potentially consistently going to be in the mid 30s minutes now. So Will Barton is a nice option at $5,400. I know it's a tough Miami matchup. Miami will be on a back-to-back, so keep that in mind. While taking a look over there on FanDuel, I'm gonna like a lot of the similar plays there over there because you have the roster too. Ingram stands out at $8,100. Middleton against the Minnesota spot at $7,800. Definitely an option, even if Giannis were to play. Porter Jr. is $7,400. He's a fine option as well. FanDuel, a small forward, we like spending down quite a bit. It's going to be tough. If you want to take your chances on guys like Patrick Williams, that's fine. Maybe even a $3,500 Daniel House if he's going to play. It's a little ugly to do that, but you're going to have to play. You have to spend down somewhere. Bazemore's not really out of play either at $5,100. Maybe it's a balance build over there on the small forward spot. Guys, you can play both the Porter Juniors right now. They kind of stand out at their prices.
Caleb Martin is going to be the highest owned small forward on the slate tomorrow on FanDuel. He's still 3,500. He played 35 minutes against the Lakers. I'm assuming he'll be starting again. He gets Cleveland at home. Looking at that, so they tip off at 7 Eastern time. 3,500 for Caleb Martin is going to be pretty much impossible for people to avoid because it's already a bad position. So spend all the way down for the guy who just put up 38 at 3,500 on this slate, and there was no time for that price tag to change. So what do you think about him if he's like crazy high owned, which is kind of what I would expect here at the moment?
Yeah, it's all going to depend on the Rozier situation and what ends up happening there. Tough to have a true educated take on one of the Martin brothers without the Rozier information. So
it's so
a bit
true.
Tough.
You were like, Eric, you're being a little irrational. Calm down. Calm down. I'm not very calm today is what I'm learning about myself. No, it was fun. It was all in good fun today over on Live Before Lock. We had a blast. Good times. Thanks for coming and hanging out. Moving to the top end of power forward, my boyfriend, Zion Williamson, of course, 10,100. Want to be respectful of my
the cover
love.
boy.
Cover boy. Beautiful cover boy. Julius Randle, 9,400 up against New Orleans. Yep, probably going to be playing a little bit of that. Kristaps Porzingis, 8,800 now. We're seeing that thing just start to escalate up, but he's deserved it with 52.9 and 56.5 in two of his last two. He rested the other day. Domantas Sabonis, 8,800 on a back-to-back. Kind of tempered down a little bit today. Didn't really have the game you would expect. 36 points, 38.6 fantasy points. That was kind of a bummer for me. And last guy I'll throw into the hat, Pascal Siakam. You'll get Lowry back, but it was nice to see him finally just kind of like assert himself a little bit. Close to 50 fantasy points today against Atlanta on this back-to-back. Don't really mind going back that direction. Talk to me about the top end of power forward.
Yeah, so we got to see what the Giannis situation is like. He makes for an excellent tournament play just because he's coming off a lower body injury. I don't expect they're going to need much of his full minutes against the matchup versus Minnesota, but someone we can definitely target. Zion Williamson, 10-1 against the Knicks. I think we can still consider him a great option in terms of he can get his floor right now is like a 45, 46 fantasy points. And I think at 10-1, I know people might shy away seeing that 5-figure price tag. I still think he's a solid option. But if you want to spend down a guy like Sabonis or Randall on the other side of things or Christian Wood, they make for great spend down options on the power forward spot. And Porzingis, the offense has been going through him more of late. It seems like a great option to even target there against the spot against Memphis. If you want to spend down really on the power forward spot, Daniel Tice, he shared some minutes the other night with Vucevic on the court as Thaddeus Young didn't play as many minutes. So he really kind of stands out as a spend down option. And Claxton got the start today with no Aldridge on the mix. He was pretty good in 21 minutes. They didn't need any much of him as Minnesota got their doors blown off of them. So he might be a pretty popular spend down option depending on the Brooklyn situation because Aldridge is not going to be playing tomorrow. So that's something that we already know off the top as we take a look at things right now. Over there on power forward position, over there in DraftKings, a 9-9 Zion still isn't five figures. I guess we got to still play him until he's five figures over there against the Knicks. And I think it's a fine option. I know it's not fun to roster guys against the Knicks, but if you want to spend down to guys like Christian Wood over here, also 7,900 has now got his power forward eligibility back on DraftKings. I like that. And Jeremy Grant is someone on both sides against this Clippers matchup. He's been playing here and there. And I think he's just going to find a way to take a ton of usage on Detroit. And I think he's a fine option at 6,900 and 7K on DraftKings and Fanduel, respectively.
Yeah, last guy I'll just throw into the middle of it, Davos Bertons, 4,100 on DK, 4K on FanDuel. We play 26 minutes. We know that he can knock down 7 or 8 threes randomly, so want to let it be known that he is somebody in that Sacramento game I wouldn't mind getting to just about any piece of, so wanted to let it be known that he's not the worst option on planet Earth. That's about it from me. You ready to round it out?
Let's do it.
All right, top end of center. We're going to go over to FanDuel to do that. Nikola Jokic, 10,900. Joel Embiid, 10,100. Embiid, it's so sad because I was gigantically over the field on Embiid against Dallas. Played 25 minutes, 49.4. Didn't even play like from the late third quarter on in an absolute dismantling of Dallas on ESPN. Good times, not good times. It was an impending 70 burger from Embiid, who put up, I believe, it was 36, 7, and 2. However, Nikola Jokic isn't going to have Jamal Murray for the rest of the year, which sucks, but 37 minutes, 27 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists. We're just going to see him start taking over a lot of this offense. Again, not that he wasn't already, but it's going to be Nikola Jokic that's going to carry Denver as far as they can possibly go, which is not as far as it was last year is my guess at this point in time, but such is life. And then Nikola Jokic, not homecoming, but inviting his old team back into his new home in Chicago. Good times, seems like something to be invested in as well. I'll throw Jonas Valanciunas too because I've been on him like crazy the last two and he's just completely gone off. 8,100 on FanDuel also seems nifty. Talk to me about the top end of center.
Top end of center, Embiid versus the Nets. Gotta love that spot, man. It's just tough not to take advantage of that situation. If this game were somehow to stay close and Embiid plays north of 30 minutes, there is a true 60-point fantasy upside plus ceiling performance in him. And with that being said, on both sides, I have a ton of interest in Embiid. I know Jokic, obviously, with no Murray, we're still going to be have a ton of interest in that against Miami, but tough not to have taking the savings on a guy like Embiid with the matchup and all things put together. As Philly and Brooklyn are, I believe, still battling for the first and second seed. It's kind of close. I forget how many games separate those two, but there's seeding implications in this game. So to whatever intel narrative you want to buy into that. Going to Vooch versus Orlando. Vooch should just eat this depleted Orlando team. He should just have a fun time toying around with them. And I think going to a guy like Valanciunas is really important. We need to talk about his minutes increase over late. Yeah, Valanciunas for like a good part of the year was playing around 28, 29 minutes. Now he's playing 34, 35, 33 minutes in that range. And 5 extra minutes of Valanciunas is a huge difference because he's an exceptional fantasy player when he's on the court. So it's been smart of you to keep riding Valanciunas, and against a matchup against Dallas, I think we can continue to do that. So I believe he played Dallas a couple times this year. He was not very good as he only went 31. He only put up 31 DraftKings points, but in 30 minutes, he took 18 shots from the field, and you'll take that shot attempt, shot volume, and whenever you want. And Jared Allen is returning, I believe, from a concussion now. And it'll be interesting to see another guy, a true center now, entering their little 4-man center rotation that they were running with Love, Hartenstein, and Wade. And now Allen's in the mix. It's going to be interesting to see what ends up happening. If you want to spend down, guys like Claxton and Looney and Daniel Tice, all under 4K at their respective prices on DraftKings. You can save quite a bit by going to those guys. I expect those guys to play at least 20 minutes, and you'll take your chances there. I know I don't recommend spending down on centers often, but there's a true upside if those guys are going to find a way to 25, 26 minutes. And we're trying to find some value the way things stand right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was just going to piggyback on that quick, where Kevon Looney played 31 minutes. Like, I didn't expect 31 minutes. We haven't seen him get anything close to that in 2 years, basically, 3 years. So Kevon Looney, 31 minutes, that's fine there. And then, yeah, Daniel Tice, 3,600 there as well. We just saw a slate 2 nights ago, that Monday night slate, where you had Steph Curry, De'Aaron Fox, and Russell Westbrook all lead the slate in raw points. So if you love the point guard position, like I think we both do on this slate, where you want to be paying up and you can play 3 of them over on DK, I really don't mind punting center today. If you're going to go down to like one of those bottom options, like if Daniel Tice, if we can plug him in for 27, 28 minutes, yeah, under 4K, no problem with that at all. Anybody else to finish up with?
Yeah, I think we got to talk about the Looney situation a little bit more in detail, just because they were going to need Looney for the Jokic matchup. And now Looney against this Oklahoma City matchup, there could be a pathway where Draymond gets more minutes at the 5 and where he gets a huge boost. But with no Oubre, I think they're less likely to run small than I once anticipated. But there's a chance where Looney only plays 22 minutes and Draymond picks up extra minutes at the 5. And we see more Toscano and Juan T and more Damian Lee and guys like Michael Mulder in them. But it's there is a pathway where he could be really disappointing. But the way things stand right now, that Aldridge situation is going to be interesting to see if he plays and what will open up in the Brooklyn front court with guys like Claxton.
Yeah, and they're basically, but they will have 2 pure centers for OKC and Moses Brown, Tony Bradley, that'll be splitting minutes at the 5. So I think that tends to probably make it a better situation for Looney. There's not really a situation without Pokusevski, with Pokusevski being out, where OKC is going to really go small against Golden State. So I do like the Looney call by you there. Yeah, that's about it for today. I mean, we flew through this thing. Anything that you want to finish up with? I mean, 11-game slate, that's a big one. Make sure you're paying attention to news. Make sure you're following the news guide. Be watching that Awesemo NBA Twitter. Make sure you're following that. But Rinpack, any final words for the people?
Yeah, no, make sure to leave us a 5-star review on our Apple Podcast page or whatever podcast feed you listen to. Those go a long way. And I believe we sent out a few free Awesemo Plus memberships the other night. So continue to leave those reviews for us. Those mean a ton. And tomorrow's slate is loaded with studs. You go Giannis, Russ, Steph, Jokic, Embiid, Luka, Cat, Zion. There is so many studs. Hopefully there's enough value for us to go stars and scrubs on a massive 11-game slate. So we'll see what ends up panning out for us. And good luck to everyone. And thanks again for tuning in.
Can't wait for the Clippers to rest everybody tomorrow. That'll be great. Guys, he's Rinpack. I'm Eric. We'll catch you on Thursday.